Hello and welcome to another episode of Rising Coaches with Sophia Bernardi. Today's episode is going to be really raw, real, and vulnerable. I always love to be transparent, and today I'm not feeling 100%. And rather than coming on here and ramping up my energy and saying that everything's perfect and amazing when it's not, I'd rather just give you a real insight to what's actually going on with me and with my business, because personally, these are my favorite kind of episodes. And second of all, I'm always about normalizing what happens in life and business so that if and when you are in one of those tougher seasons, your experience is so validated and normalized, and you have tools and support and processes to actually move through that season. So whilst I'm feeling good, I will say that I'm going through a slightly tougher season, and I'm going to be breaking that all down for you in this episode so that you can hopefully get something out of it. And if you do, by the way, please come message me on Instagram at Sophia Rose Bernardi and let me know, because I do love hearing from you, and it means the world to me when I know that these episodes really land for you and are supportive, because it anchors in that I should do even more of this. So whilst I'm always transparent with you all, this is more just a different episode because it's kind of rare that I'm feeling this way or experiencing what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And so, yeah, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes of what it's looked like for me to lead and run my business in one of the more tougher seasons that I've experienced in a long time, and what that really looks like behind the scenes of a business that's bringing in over $50,000 per month. So we're sort of sitting in that 50 to 70K range at the moment, and that's a big growth spurt that we've had and that we're continuously having. And with that comes a lot of other things to navigate, and that's what I really want to shed light on today. Because if I'm just being completely honest with you right now, every day lately it has felt like I've woken up optimistic, ready to tackle my day, and then I get punched in the face. That's kind of what it's really been feeling like, from a variety of little things just like compounding up at once. And yeah, it's a lot. It's honestly just a lot, but I'm gonna share it all with you because whilst it's a lot, I'm still happy. I'm still loving my life. I still love my business. This is just a normal thing that business owners go through, and it's just unfortunately not spoken about. And I just don't want to be in that category of people that only shares the good, right? So this episode is not a complaint. I'm not complaining, because that's just not even how I feel. It's just me sharing the reality of growing and scaling from a lens that most people won't share, because it doesn't look good and it doesn't sound good and it's not that fun. But I know that everyone experiences it, because I'm in masterminds with 6, multi-6, 7, multi-7 and 8-figure business owners who all go through this, and significantly worse. So I know that it's a normal thing, and I hear about it all of the time, but not at the quantity or the realness that we should be hearing about online. And I know that if I'm feeling this way right now, there's a high chance that someone listening to this episode right now or watching this episode is also feeling this too. And I want you to know that you're not alone, and more importantly, that you can lead yourself through it and get to the other side. That's really what this episode is about. So this episode is for the coach who's in a tough season but still wants to hold her vision. It's for the leader who's feeling stretched but not broken. It's for the coach who's going through an up level and really going through it, okay? Before I get into the episode, I just want to share, a bit of a life update, because I personally love hearing those sorts of things when I tune into people's podcast episodes. So outside of everything that I'm about to share with you, like the tougher side of business, I'll share some positive things. Recently, I have actually not been traveling as much. So, most of this year I've been traveling every month or several times a month, whereas really I think I've been in Brisbane now for like 3 weeks straight, which is like a long time. And so it's been so nice to be consistent at the gym, consistent with my routines. It just feels so good to be in one place, and I do not want to go anywhere yet, which is crazy to say, but I love my home, and I love being in my comfort zone, and I love my routine, and it just feels so good for my health when I'm, in a stable environment. And whilst I love traveling, and I will probably do so next month, it's just nice to have a little gap where I'm at home a lot. So I've been home with Geordie, and we've just been really consistent in our routines. We've had some beautiful date nights recently. I did a breathwork session on the weekend on the Gold Coast. So we hired a car and spent the day on the Gold Coast. That was really nice. What else has been happening? I don't know. I'm just in my Pilates era. I've literally done a Pilates class every single day for like 3 weeks straight. And I'm walking like 10,000 steps minimum every single day as well. I've had a lot on in the business, both positive, both negative. And yeah, that's really the life update. But really this entire episode is a bit of a life update, so I'll just move through it. But I just wanted to share some fun little things that's been happening. Feeling overall pretty good. But let me share with you what I'm navigating right now. So lately, like I said, it kind of just feels like I wake up and then I get punched in the face. Like that's kind of what it feels like. And I don't mean like I wake up feeling terrible. I actually wake up feeling really good. It's when I open my email, or I open Slack, or I open Facebook, I'm hit with like a negative message, or, a not so nice email, or someone projecting something onto me, or someone, just taking no responsibility, or like a massive amount of payment failures or payment cancellation requests, or clients in deep resistance or stuckness, or clients going through personal financial hardship, or these sorts of things that, like I said, everyone goes through. I've just been experiencing it at a more heightened level than I usually would, if I'm being honest. And it's just because we're growing, like we're also getting a lot more people into my programs, and just like outgrowing certain things, certain people, all of this sort of stuff. And with that just comes more of everything, right? So it's been a lot, just unexpected stuff. And I wake up and I'm just like hit with it, and I'm like, wow, just literally the only way I can describe it, and have been describing it, is like a punch in the face. And so I'm waking up every day not quite knowing like whether I'm going to feel anxious or stressed or overwhelmed, or what emotion's going to come because of all these things happening. And while I'm incredibly grateful for the business I've built, I'm also human, and this season has been stretching me more than I could have anticipated. And this is really the duality, because this is something I want to make really, really clear. This season has been hard. It hasn't been a super long season. Maybe it's been like this for, I'm not sure, 2 or 3 weeks or something along those lines, roughly. The timeline's a bit blurred, but it's not like I've been struggling for months and months and months. It's just been, the last few weeks. And it's been really hard, but I'm also really happy. And this is the beauty of duality. I'm neither, here nor there. I'm both. My relationship with Geordie has literally never been better. The closeness I feel from him right now is just so unmatched. It almost makes me emotional. Like we're just so close and so connected, and going through life and difficult seasons and challenges together. And it almost becomes something you can laugh at and make fun of, because you're kind of with your person going through it, or whatever it is. And we've been having a lot of fun together, and I just feel so connected to him. And I've felt like that for a very long time, but something feels in particularly nicer right now. We've just had a lot of one-on-one quality time together. I think usually one of us is traveling or we're doing things, but I think because we've been in this season of like, literally when I say season, like I said, just a few weeks of being together, having that consistency every day, it's just brought us a lot closer, and it's so nice. My friendships with my best friends are better than ever before. I FaceTime my best friends every day. I check in with them. I feel so safe with them. And, I've got amazing people around me. I also love myself. I'm very proud of myself. I'm looking after myself. Like I said, I'm in my Pilates era. I've been doing 10,000 steps a day, which is for me like, an hour and a half of walking every single day at least. I've been doing a sauna every day, cold plunging every day. I've been laughing, leading, crying, living, all the things, So there's lots of positive things going on right now. And it's been a hard season. Not even in the whole business, just one part of the business, And I share this because it's so easy to think that if you are going through a tough season, or you say that something's hard or difficult or a problem, that it has to feel like everything's falling apart. But that's just not the case. I can feel so grounded and regulated and calm and great right now. and be holding a lot. Right now I feel amazing, but that, a couple of hours ago when I received an email I didn't want to receive or a message I didn't appreciate, yeah, it stings, it hurts, it feels painful in that moment. But I breathe through it, I move through it, I have the systems, I have the support, and then I can get on the other side, right? But that doesn't mean there's not these temporary moments of hardness, and it doesn't mean that I can't laugh in the same breath with, a comment my partner makes or whatever it might be. Both get to coexist, okay? And so one thing I really want to emphasize here is that this power of overflow. And I really think that that's what's been contributing to me to be able to feel both happy and challenged at once. Because when you've got overflow in your life, whether that's in your health, your relationships, your mindset, your daily routines, it just gives you capacity to hold the harder things in business, for example, without it breaking you. Whereas if my health wasn't great, my relationship wasn't great, my mindset was appalling, I didn't have a routine, you best believe one small comment, one email I don't appreciate, one piece of reactivity from someone, one projection could break me and tip me over the edge and spiral me out of control. But because my life isn't just good or okay in other areas, but it's actually above average and extraordinary, it's just meaning that when there's tough things that, for some people would break people or is really tough or really hard, it just isn't breaking me, and it's not flinching me too much. It's still hard, and there's those moments of it where I can feel anxious for a few hours or even the day, or it can affect me. I'm just able to move through it because all of the overflow that is happening in other areas of my life. And that is something I have created, and it's something I'm extremely grateful for. So right now, there's parts of the business that's hard and not enjoyable, and it just doesn't feel good. But because I feel so grounded in other areas of the business and in other areas of my life, it really helps to balance that out a little bit. Because sometimes the negative things, there can be one small negative thing for 9 positive things, but that negative thing really weighs down, toxic energy, negative energy, draining energy weighs so much down, just like, people always make that comment, if you got 100 positive likes and comments on your thing and then one hate message, you don't focus on the 100 likes, you focus on the one negative comment. It's kind of like that. And so luckily, other areas of my life aren't just average or okay or suffering as well, but they're an overflow. And that really helps to make, the negative things not so negative. And I really would feel for people if, they had 1 or 2 or 3 or a few areas of their life that was crumbling at the same time. I do see how it takes a toll on people. So whilst business has been hard, it's also been equally amazing. Because whilst I'm navigating certain hard parts of it, we've also had our biggest cash months to date. We've been increasing our profit. We've been celebrating so many client wins and bringing on the most dream-aligned clients. I'm also delegating a lot more than I ever have, and I'm automating a lot more than I ever have. And I'm refining so much right now that's going to make, a beautiful flow-on effect in the future. So that's all been happening at the same time. And that's really duality at its finest that I wanted to take a moment to really talk about, because I think I want to normalize that, it's not normal for everything to all just be good and there to never be any problems. I see coaches, react they feel stuck or they're not getting traction for a day or a week or a month, and they just dramatize it so much. But it's it doesn't have to be a problem, if that, it's just something that needs to be solved. You just need to focus on the solution that you want. It does, everyone has a bottleneck, everyone has challenges, is what I'm trying to say, right? So it's okay if you're stuck or there's a bottleneck or something's hard right now. That's normal, right? It's not normal for everything to be perfect all the time. Unless you didn't want to grow anymore and you just wanted to stay where you are, then sure, you can feel like that. But I know most of you don't want to stay where you are right now. You want to get to that next level. And when you get to that next level, you want to get to the next level after that. And for people that are like that, which is most people, then it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows all the time. It can be like that a lot of the time or most of it, but there's going to be hard parts as well, And so that is just duality at its finest that I wanted to speak into, to kind of normalize that it's okay to feel stuck. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay for something to not be working. The only problem is if you stay there and you don't do something about it, right? And your approach as to how you go about that. That's the problem, right? And the truth is that 95% of my life and business is freaking amazing. Like I said, my relationship, health, friendships. And it's allowing me to hold the hard and heavy stuff that comes with the growth that I'm experiencing right now. Because we have made big leaps and bounds in business. We've gone from 30K months to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70. That's what's happening. There's a lot of growth. And, what got me to 30K months doesn't sustain me at 70K. There's things that we need to improve or change or be new lessons and new challenges we need to be able to hold that comes with that level of business. And if I can't move through that, I can't sustain that and get more. It would be way easier to just go back to 30K months, back to 10K months. It's easier, right? It's harder to be able to learn how to truly hold a new level of growth and sustain that and then keep growing. That's very hard to do. It's possible, obviously, but you have to be willing to lean in when honestly you feel like leaning out. So this is where overflow in other areas of your life is so important. I think this is why you hear successful entrepreneurs talk about the importance of your health and your mindset and your body, and that being the absolute foundation. Because I tell you what, right now I've got a long to-do list. I'm even late putting out this podcast episode because there's just a lot going on. Again, not all bad things, just a lot in general. And it could be so easy for me to be like, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to go for a walk. I don't have time to eat healthy. But that's the things I've prioritized first and foremost. I had finished my gym class by 7 a.m. this morning. I'm eating healthy, clean foods. I'm looking after my mental health actually before everything else. That's how I'm even functioning right now. If I hadn't done those things, or I let those things slip, my mindset would be spiraling. So it's so important that, even when you do not feel like it or it's hard, that you do that even more so. That's where it matters even more so, guys. It's your anchor. And it's something we have to be really intentional about. Not just when things are good, but especially when things are not so good. Something else I've been reflecting on recently around this situation is why these challenges are coming. I'm really big on taking self-responsibility. I think I mentioned that word in a lot of my episodes. Responsibility. Because there was a time where I took no responsibility. I was the victim and I blamed other people and situations and things external to me. But I also didn't grow and I wasn't fulfilled during those times. I felt powerless. Whereas now I feel powerful because I take self-responsibility. Even if someone's being a fucking asshole, somehow I still take ownership of it. Sure, I don't accept it, I don't tolerate it, and it might not be unfair, and I do blame them or whatever. I still take ownership of the situation of like, cool, they're an asshole. I feel sorry that they, have to even deal with themselves, but I've still been handed this situation for whatever reason. What am I going to do about it? How I respond and how I show up in those moments matters so much, okay? And so I've really had to get uncomfortable and look at, right, I don't really like this person and how they're, behaving. I don't even know who they are right now, but this has come into my world. It's now my responsibility to deal with this, even if I don't think it's my fault or whatever, or if I don't think it's fair. What am I going to do about that? I need to just take ownership of that and get the learnings and the lesson. Like, what is it I need to learn about this situation? What systems do I need to set up to prevent this in the future or to be able to solve this better? I need to forgive myself. I need to lean in. And it's really uncomfortable, but that's what I've been doing a lot lately. Why am I attracting this? What role have I played on manifesting this into my life? And like I said, it's not that everything in your life needs to be your fault and that's always the lesson. That's not the lesson. Sometimes it's like you've been presented with it, not because you did something to cause it, but you're being challenged to make sure you can hold this kind of shit so you can continue to grow. Sometimes that's what it is. And you have to be presented with an asshole or a tough situation to learn how to hold it. And that's just the reality, And so sometimes it's not that everything's your fault, not at all. It's just that everything is your responsibility, okay? And I find it helpful for me personally to look at any role I could have played, forgive myself, learn from that, build a better system for next time. That's really what I've been doing recently, been deep diving there. Because whilst, these things are normal to experience in business, there's still things we can do to help minimize it or make it easier. And that's really what I've been looking at as well, okay? And whilst it's not fun, it's a part of it. And so I need to learn how to be able to move through that, okay? Because the truth is that if I just play the victim, which is so much easier and more enjoyable, it's so much easier to say this is all their fault, this is not my fault at all. And I've definitely been guilty of saying that as well and feeling that. But the thing is, if my mentality is like, this is happening to me instead of what can I learn from this, I'm just going to stay stuck. So the best thing I can do is just learn from it. And if I stay stuck, I miss the growth and I won't be able to hold more than I say that I want. And I'll stay where I am or go backwards. That's what happens when you don't get the lesson or the learning that's required from a situation that repeatedly happens. Once-off situation, sure. If it's a constant reoccurring thing, which is what I'm experiencing at the moment, I have to look at the role I play or the lesson I need to learn or, what systems need to be in place to be able to get to that next level, So for example, if I had a belief that, I need to deal with all challenges myself and I can do it all myself, that might not be a helpful lesson. Like, do you think, for example, Tony Robbins, who makes hundreds of millions of dollars, is responding to every client email and, knows about even the refund requests or cancellation requests or payment failure? No, he's got no idea. He's got literally no idea. He's delegated that. And that in of itself is a lesson that to continue to grow, you can't hold it all. You literally can't. You need to delegate it out. And you need to build systems for it. Otherwise, he just wouldn't be at that level if he had to do all of that himself. Like, there's a lot that goes into him being able to talk on stage. Hundreds and hundreds of staff. And so many challenges. And so much cost financially, emotionally, energetically, time-wise that goes into bringing something freaking incredible to the world. I need to remind myself of that in these moments and learn, like, maybe the lesson is literally just like, you have to learn to separate yourself from it. You have to learn to delegate it. You need to have a system in place so you're not emotionally involved in everything, for example. So it's just an example I wanted to share, right? And I just really believe that we will continue to experience the same challenges again and again until the particular lesson that you need is resolved. So I like to ask myself, what boundaries need to be strengthened? What systems need to be improved? What delegation or support would prevent this in the future? What mindset support or practices is required in this season? What's the lesson I need to learn or the strength I need to build to hold this and more? I see this season not just as a challenge to get through, but as an opportunity to become the next level version of myself. That's how I'm viewing this, which is why, yes, it's a problem and it's also not a problem at all, right? It's kind of exciting. Like, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable. No one wants to be punched in the face every day. But like, I'm getting stronger. I'm learning to protect myself and my energy so I can actually hold more, because the version who I am now can't hold double the amount of growth. I need to become that person. And that starts with how I move during these seasons and times. We will seriously attract certain lessons, people, or situations to learn what we need to learn to be a match for what it is we say we want. So you have to be mindful of the big goals you set. I've set a goal, I want to double my business, guys. Do you double your business by remaining the same and doing the same? Absolutely freaking not. You have to really pull that shit apart. I have to become a fully new person. Of course, fundamental parts of me, of course, stay the same. But I have to really upgrade how I deal with shit. And that is what I'm going through, okay? And that's what you might be going through and need to go through. And I remind myself of that, of like, I always tell myself this, if I can't handle this, I can't handle more. I'm saying I want more, so I need to learn how to handle this rather than push it away and go back into my comfort zone. This is what real growth looks like. It's freaking uncomfortable and messy. Think about babies, right? They're growing so much, man. Like their teeth, learning to walk, emotions, being in this big world surrounded by so many things. This is why they have so many tantrums and breakdowns and just so many big emotions. It's because they're growing and it's so scary. It's so scary for little babies. But we're just big babies and it's scary for us too. It's just at a more amplified level. When you're about to level up, the universe doesn't just roll out a red carpet. It throws you tests to make sure that you can hold walking down that red carpet, right? Because let me tell you, the famous people, if we now talk literally on this, the famous people that are on the red carpets, they've got the paparazzi, all this stuff. Do you know how much shit they deal with? They get so much hate. I sometimes think about this, like Meghan Markle. Friggin' hell, so many people hate her. I genuinely feel a bit sorry for her, to be honest. right or wrong, that's not what this conversation is. She breathes and gets hate. She literally walks into a room and within an hour, 1,000 articles have gone out, tearing her to pieces. There's one example, one famous person that everyone knows of, right? Like, do you know how much you have to be able to hold to be on a red carpet, to be that seen and exposed? You expose yourself to so much hate, cancel culture, negativity. It scares the living daylights out of me. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. I know for a fact right now, the version of me could not handle that. If I can get anxious and have my day ruined by an email currently, I cannot imagine the level of hate a famous person gets for freaking just being alive. That is a hard gig, and it's the cost of all the other amazing things that come with that, because whilst yes, they get so much hate, they equally get more love from like more quantity of people than ever. They get more abundance, more money, more freedom, more fame, more significance, more this and that. But you have to be able to hold the opposite, man, and that shit is hard. Right? And I really anchor into that and think about that when I'm going through something tough or something difficult. It's like, it's the cost of growing. It really, really is. You actually want to be seen, see how long you last in that situation. And it's not to punish you. It's to prepare you. If you say you want to double your business, that comes with double the responsibility. And you have to be the type of coach and leader or woman or man that can hold that. And I truly believe that that's what's happening to me right now. I'm being asked to hold more because the universe wants to give me double the size of my business. It knows I'm capable of that on the other side of these lessons. And so it's giving me these little things to like handle and overcome. It's giving me more to deal with to make sure that I can handle what it is I say I want. Can you be who you say you want to be before you get the results to prove it? I remember seeing a random YouTube video not long ago of Layla Hormozi, Alex and Layla Hormozi. And she was, sharing on a YouTube video like the tough side or the hard side of business. I guess similar to what I'm talking about now. And, they make hundreds of millions of dollars. Like that's a whole nother level again. And, she was crying in that YouTube video and she was saying it's not easy. Like the problems just get bigger. And you could look at that like, they're so amazing. They've got books. They've got more money than they know what to do with. They're famous. They're this and that. They've got all this stuff. Yeah, do you know what? They also get sued every day. They have to go to court. They would have an amplification of, terrible things that happen as well. Their leadership is challenged daily. They have so many staff, people betraying them, going behind their back, cancel, all this stuff. If they say one wrong word, quote unquote wrong word, you can get cancelled. Like that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of legalities and things they need to be mindful of at that level. That's the cost of getting to that level, right? And, in that YouTube video, she was going to court and like all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like I said, it can ruin my day or a few hours if I just get a really nasty email, let alone go to court over something in my business that I potentially didn't even do wrong. Like that's just the shit you have to deal with. And it's a lot, right? It's a lot. So success is not the absence of problems. It's your ability to lead through them. And people like Layla Hormozi have a much higher capacity than I do and than probably anyone listening to this does. And that's also why she is where she is. Do you know what I mean? So if you can't handle what you're facing right now, how could you possibly handle 2x or 5x that growth? So instead of asking, why is this happening? I'm asking, how is this preparing me for what I asked for? So I have the belief and the trust that I can hold more and I will be holding more, but on the other side of these lessons. And it comes with the quality of the questions I ask and the way I perceive the situations that's going to allow me to get there sooner rather than later. And so one of the biggest things that's helping me through this right now is my CEO mindset. If I didn't have that, I probably would have already thrown in the towel, let's be honest. But I know who I am. I know that setbacks are a part of the game. And to me, a CEO mindset means you don't wait to feel ready to lead. It doesn't matter how shit I'm feeling today. I need this podcast episode to go out. And I'm not feeling shit right now or today, by the way. But even if I was feeling shit, I'd be recording this episode. Because that's what I said I do. I upload an episode every Tuesday. And so that is what I do. I don't wait to feel ready or to feel good. I make myself feel good. I don't let my emotions run the show, you know? I could be having the shittest day or receive the worst email or message, and you best believe I'm going to show up 100% for my clients straight after receiving that, because that's the kind of leader that I am and that I want to be. I zoom out and anchor into truth. I take responsibility for my part and full power to change it. You know, that's what a CEO mindset is to me. Strong mindset doesn't mean removing emotion, by the way. It just means that you don't collapse under it. Okay, you don't let it dictate decisions or how you respond to people, you know? And right now, I am doing more mindset work than I have done in a long time. There's been a huge season, honestly, for a long time, now that I think about it, where I have not had many client problems or business problems. Like, I feel like 95% of the time, I feel freaking amazing and on top of the world. But as I say this out loud, I realize that I stayed around the 30K per month mark for a long time. Sure, I might go a little bit over that, but I returned back to that baseline a lot. And don't get me wrong, that's a freaking amazing place to be. But I was in that 30K per month mark for a long time. And I realize now, as I say this, I was just comfortable. You know, I was growing and doing things, but, you know, I think there was some subconscious blocks there around what that meant to make more. And now that I've done some mindset work recently, because I've really taken it seriously to get to a new level, I'm now at that new level. I doubled the business, right? And I want to double it again. But now that I'm trying to sustain that and I'm more self-aware on, you know, falling back into certain places, that's why I'm going through all these challenges, you know? So for a long time, I haven't done as much mindset work. Every year I usually do something like, you know, I've done a breathwork journey, I've done a kinesiology journey, I've done, you know, this and that. I'm always doing something, you know, I'll go through a little season. But, you know, when I first started my business, I had to journal, habits, vision boards, goals every single day just to freaking function. Now I've got a very strong baseline because of the quality of my life I've created, that I haven't felt called to do that stuff. I don't sit and meditate every day. I don't journal every day. I don't do all those things every day. But now I'm realizing, as I'm trying to get to this new level and the things I'm going through, gosh, that stuff is so helpful, and I'm leaning back into it again. And so I really listen to my body and do what I need when I need to do it. And so I'm doing that more than ever before because of this season and where I'm trying to get to. And so, man, mindset plays a huge role, and I'm teaching it even more so to my clients. And I know that that's the stuff that lands the most for them, and it makes the biggest difference. So I'm actually doubling down on mindset, embodiment, and energetics again at a whole new level and teaching it to my clients, and it's making a huge difference. One of the last things I want to talk about is the support that I'm leaning on right now, because I am not doing this alone. I'm leaning into support harder than ever before. Instead of checking in with my coach every few days, at the moment it's every day. I'm letting Geordie support me emotionally. I'm being more honest with my friends. I'm letting people in. I'm letting you in right now. I let my clients in. I'm so freaking honest about, you know, what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. There's like nothing sugar-coated here, and there's nothing I'm leaving unsaid here. This is literally just my truth speaking out at you right now, right? I just, you know, I really find that to be really important. I'm leaning in. I'm normalizing this. I'm owning this rather than leaning out and hiding. No growth happens there. And it's not fair on my clients or my audience to paint this picture that everything's perfect when it's not all the time. Everything's pretty freaking amazing. You know, I've got a freaking amazing business and life overall. I really don't have much to worry about or complain about, but it doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. There's also hard stuff that happens at the same time, you know, and I want to be honest about that. So the more supported you are, the more capacity you have. And if I want to rise quickly and move through this, I need the right support holding me. I'm leaning on my team. I'm trusting my team. I'm surrendering, leaning on my coach. I'm leaning on Geordie. I'm leaning on my friends and family. So I want to close off by saying that if you're in a hard season right now, let me remind you, it doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean you're not cut out for this. It might just mean that you're being prepared for everything you said you wanted. So let yourself feel it. Let yourself be supported. And also let yourself lead. Anchor into overflow. Strengthen your mindset and own your role. When you come out the other side, you will realize that this was the season that made you her. That next level version of you. It's this season that is building that. All right? So that is what I wanted to share today. A real, raw, unfiltered and honest episode. I was a little bit late on recording this and I was trying to think of something to talk about. And I'm like, to be honest, I can't think of anything truly like happy days and positive to talk about right now without addressing, the elephant in the room that's going on in my mind, which is that, hey, the tough times are real tough and people need to know about this. And so this felt really, really important for me to share. And so I hope you enjoyed it. For that reason, I would love to hear from you. Please message me on Instagram. I'm at Sophia Rose Bernardi, or if we're in contact elsewhere, please contact me and let me know if this was helpful, because if it was, I will do more of this. And if I don't hear from you and, I don't get that kind of feedback, I'll just know that this is not really the stuff that you want, and I'll share just more of the tips and tricks and get on with my way. So your feedback means everything. If you have loved this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever, please subscribe, please follow, because I do upload episodes every single week and I put a lot of time and effort into them to make sure that you walk away with wisdom, awareness, knowledge, skills, and strategies to be able to move forwards. If you would like to work with me, we do have spots open at the moment. I would love to support you. I share things like this and so much more at a 10x level of depth when it comes to strategy and growth and mindset and systems and energetics inside my programs. And I would love to teach you, what supported me to get to this amazing place in my business of, currently between $50,000 and $70,000 per month. And it just keeps growing because of this very work that I'm talking about, because of me being able to lean into these tough times. And I would love to support you with that as well, because you should not go through that alone. And in fact, I don't really think anyone can go through that sort of stuff alone. So if you want support and you're ready to truly grow and scale, I'm here to hold your hand and show you and lead you every step of the way. So you can message me and we can have a chat about that as well, because I have 2 different offers dependent on your stage of business, your financial situation, and your desired goals. So send me a message, we'll have a chat. But otherwise, like, subscribe, all the things. I hope you loved it, and I'll see you in next week's episode. Bye.